This week on Allison and Tom Take on the Universe, we're going to be talking about the energy of 2021. Hi, Tom.
Hi, Allison.
Thank you for being here. This is my friend Tom McMullan, astrologer extraordinaire, here to enlighten us.
As always.
So, 2020's been a bareback ride.
Yes, it's a dumpster fire.
So we already knew what to expect for 2020. It was supposed to be family, going back to family traditions, the virus, and innovation, which is everything that it was.
Right.
So what can we expect for 2021?
2021, and we're looking at two signs and two planets that rule them, that we're in now and leaving and then going into this next year, and the planets that rule them. So we'll talk about Jupiter and Sagittarius and Saturn and Capricorn.
Okay.
Because they're very diametrically opposed in their natures.
Yes, they are.
And those two planets are coming together that will define as we move forward into 2021, which is an actual big thing in astrology. It's not just for the year. It's for probably the next 20 years easily.
So it's all the chatter amongst you astrologers.
Yes, it is.
All right.
And so because they are moving into the air sign of Aquarius, and they've been in earth signs for 200 years. And so we're moving from one element to another for the next 200 years.
Wow.
So, but, currently let's discuss sort of what those planets and those signs mean.
Okay.
Jupiter is the benefic of things, the hope in the future, and Saturn is the malefic, the dark, the hard, the restricted of life.
Right.
Things that are difficult, things that we can't do, like gravity is a sort of a Capricorn Saturn energy where it holds things in and makes things restricted. We can't fly for that reason, you see. And then Jupiter is, well, I'll just figure it out and jump off a cliff and see where it takes me, Sagittarius, and there's two sides to Sagittarian. There's just fairly one to Capricorn, but Sagittarius is either the party guy or the serious philosopher. He's, or somewhere in between.
Mm-hmm.
But the fun party, the one with crude humor.
They do have crude humor.
They have crude humor.
I love that about them.
Especially as kids and preteens. They're like
so
little
funny.
boys. They'll give you the dirtiest joke.
And, my adult friends still do it that are Sagittarius.
Yeah.
They're fun.
Yeah. So, they are the partiers, the gamblers, the wild child, but the risk takers. And then, but even in the serious side of the other side, the higher consciousness, it's just about morality, ethics, law, and where we're going and what our truth really is. So, you have the child and the adult in those natures. And then Capricorn is really the dad. It's the serious, the rule maker, the boss, your employer, the guy who runs your world at work.
Sure.
The one that's climbing to the top of materialism and reputation. And so one has more of a grounded earthly energy, which is what we've been doing for 200 years, building upon the earth and building cities and finances around the world in the last 200 years. And we're moving out of that as we move into Aquarius. As those two planets come together, they work beautifully together because the hope in the future is based on a plan and a foundation.
It's grounded hope.
It's grounded hope, you see. So, Jupiter without boundaries is as bad as Pisces without boundaries, actually.
Which is really bad.
And then Capricorn is over boundary. It's like it creates, the walls are too thick, too tall to get through and over.
All boundaries.
So, but they work together. They build to grow. You see, that's the whole point, is to build to grow. Mm-hmm. But we're going to Aquarius. So Aquarius being an air sign, and Aquarius rules science, technology, and medicine.
Okay.
And so you can see that it's laid the foundation by the pandemic itself, because now we've had to deal with our human survival by a virus that's invaded us, that has forced us to move money, commerce, and everything toward the healing and invention of viruses and things faster than we ever have before. So now look where money's being sent: medicine, technology, right? So
it's so fascinating. It's amazing that they could get more than one vaccine for the coronavirus done in seemingly a short time.
And they're not done. There's more to come.
And well, I think the beauty of this, and what maybe a lot of people don't understand, is that this had to happen to help us. It's going to end up accidentally finding vaccines for things that we weren't even looking for as a bonus. And something worse would have been down the road that we're now going to know what we need
Be
to
prepared
do
for. Yes.
to fix that. And so people feel so inconvenienced. And I know this is difficult, but in the grand scheme of centuries, what's going on right now is going to change or revolutionize medicine, which is what you're saying.
Yes, in technology, science, all the things that are Aquarian in nature, and then opens up our humanity as Aquarius rules humanity. And so we've become a human world of humanity because we're all going through this collectively as humans.
So in the 60s, when they had the big Age of Aquarius movement, is that when it started? Like we were on the, catching the sunlight of what was it going to be the Age of Aquarius as we moved towards it?
Well, the Age of Aquarius, I always felt, began in the 1700s when the creation of this country was created, because if you look at Jupiter and Sagittarius, it rules religion, and so the shift and change in our world and our country is we separated church and state. And so now science and religion have been at odds with each other, you see. So the more we evolve and find actual facts and things of discoveries through science, and then it gets contrary to what religious, a gospel says, or
dogmas.
And dogmas. Yeah. And we're still in the middle of that. We're still on the cusp of this war and fight with these two things. It doesn't mean religion goes away. It just means that one doesn't overrule the other. They can work together. If you understand, get away from the dogma and work toward the humanity of our ethics. That makes
sense.
And then using this wonderful evolution of science to discover we're not alone as humans, and we're maybe not even alone in the universe.
I know a lot of people find that incredibly exciting, but I like things the way they are.
Yeah, but you're a fixed sign energy. You're very
that's
fixed.
Aquarius.
Well, Aquarius is fixed in its progress. It's in his world. He's fixed or she's fixed. She creates her own reality of making herself different.
Yes.
Or himself different, because Aquarius means I want to belong, but I don't want to belong at all. It's that dichotomy where it's like I am different. I don't fit into anything, but I want to. And you have to sort of navigate those two things. And so some Aquarians are joiners in parts of groups, and others are their own person like you. And I'm pretty much happy being alone.
I want little Aquarians to hear this. I think this is important. I wish somebody had told me this when I was a child. You weren't born to fit in.
That's right.
Stop trying. You're not going to, most of you will not like team sports. You're not going to be the one invited to all the birthday parties. But I guarantee you, if you continue being yourself and being the little individual rebel that you are, by the time you're an adult, you're going to draw in so many cool rebels like yourself, and those become your friends. So it just takes a while to find the ones worth waiting for. But in childhood, you're not supposed to feel like you fit in. You'll do better in individual sports. I was a competitive skater, solo skater, and that worked for me. As soon as they gave me a partner, everything was his fault. Everything was his fault. I was like, I could do better without him. So it's part of our energy to not fit in, and that's okay.
And I, to capitalize on that, the point of Aquarius feeling separated, it forces you to go in to discover who you are.
Yes.
And in the general dynamic of where we're going into this next year, the planet that rules Aquarius, Uranus, is in the sign of Taurus. And Taurus means your personal values. What do you value? Are you trying to fit into a group that you don't fit in because they don't fit your values because you don't know what they are?
Right.
And so you have to spend time being separated to discover self. So the self journey is in Aquarius, and then once they discover themselves, and it's like, well, now I don't care about anybody else, and so I'm my own person. But it means you still need to find your tribe.
Well, we need to now refigure out what our friends' values are.
That match yours.
Yes.
And this is why the tribe becomes the misfit souls, the ones that never were the ones that fit in.
Right.
They're the rebellious ones. They're the ones that belong outside the community because their sexuality or because they're artistic and their parents are, scholars or
they talk to dead people.
Yeah, right. Yes. Or they're astrologers, which is an Aquarian profession, by the way, is what I do. So we look at the big picture. We see things beyond what you normally see in front of you. So
I love that.
Yeah.
Aquarius rules astrology.
Yeah.
I love it. Very cool.
It's a science. It's a science of nature.
Right.
Essentially.
No, it makes sense to me. You're reading energies. And
yes.
I understand that. So in 2021, moving forward, some of the ugly things that we saw in 2020, all of the clashing and the violence and the upheaval, that's part of breaking with 200 years and moving forward into the new 200 years. Does that mean we forget where we came from, or does that just mean that we bring that with us but learn from it?
I get the sense that history does repeat itself. I get the sense not as much as it has, because the energy is so different from earth signs for 200 years going into air signs, which are intellect.
So different.
And so, again, the negative parts, we're going to, take the Capricorn energy and look at the hard negative parts and what the worst case scenarios. In terms of our conflicts, we will fight differently because we'll go from machinery to cyber wars now because technology connected the world in a way that now we can either enhance ourselves or destroy ourselves. So, cutting down, electrical grids and things like this. This is what we're in for. So, advancement of hoping to look at our humanity better because of how much easier it is to wipe out, except for bombs. I think it's easier to wipe out people just by taking their food and their life away from them in the most basic elements. Yeah, absolutely. Yes.
So they're going to fight. There'll be maybe more germ warfare as well.
Possibly, because medicine's a part of it.
Right. So all things for us to be mindful of. Don't let it scare you. The news is frightening enough. You take it one day at a time and you be true to yourself. And I just hope people come away from this year remembering that and sticking to their values and not changing them because other people impose their will on you.
Well, again, don't forget to understand your own morals and ethics that work for you. Don't look at your morality or ethics through something outside of yourself. We all know what's right or wrong.
How does this affect boomers, though? Because you're more of a collective soul.
You
have been in the past. You were more of a collective soul. You were more of a group.
I get the sense
energy.
We can say that of all generations and generalize. I would say those in the mid 40s when they were born were the hippies, the rebels, the marching down the street dynamics from wars and what have you.
Burning bras.
I was born in the mid 50s. I didn't have that experience. I was not old enough to understand that experience. I mean, I was rocking the peace sign on a chain and all that stuff that was going on as a little boy.
We need a picture of that to put up on YouTube.
Yeah, I had all the paraphernalia, but nonetheless, I didn't know what it meant. But you have to go kind of like specifics within generations because early parts of the millennial are different than the latter parts, and so
true.
And so those born in '66 of the beginning of the Gen X, your generation, in we go into '76, very different. So
yeah, I can see that. I was in the center.
Yes.
I think.
Yeah, you're in the center.
And I really like the people that were born in the center because we only got together in groups to have good times. But other than that, we're kind of individual.
Yeah.
And I like that.
Yeah.
But I have to say with Aquarius, most people like their sign. Not everybody likes their sign. There are some signs where they don't wear them on chains and they don't have the tattoo for a reason. Scorpio loves themselves. Leo loves themselves. Yes. There's certain
Aries,
signs.
Yeah.
Aries loves themselves. There's certain Taurus.
Yeah.
Yeah. But then you see with Aquarius, there's a good side. There's a pro and a con to it. I know the pros. I've read people who are the darker side of Aquarius, and they're the smiling assassin.
Yeah.
So that worries me a little bit because they can disconnect emotionally and almost seem a little inhuman.
Yeah.
So the opposite of what we would be talking about, humanity and helping others, there's an aspect to it that could be cold and calculated.
Yeah.
Well, thank you for enlightening us on the energy of 2021. I'm really looking forward to the cures for diseases that are going to come out of all of the medical work that's been done during the pandemic and maybe revolutionizing medicine and hospitals and the way we do things.
Absolutely.
To treat patients, and also showing more humanity to people that are right in front of you. If there's somebody in front of you, and this is very Aquarian, I started buying a cheeseburger for homeless people at a very young age. And yes, sometimes they'll say, I don't want food, give me money. And I'm like, no, I'm here. I'm the hamburger fairy. That's what I am. So I've always tried to help when I can help without overextending to you picking your battles. You have to pick your battles in Aquarius nature, I believe. But I find that this time of year, with what's going on and all of the change, be mindful and show your humanity to the people right now who are missing someone who died during the holidays that might feel alone. So maybe this is a good time to exercise, showing your humanity to the people next door. Is there somebody elderly that didn't get any turkey or just needs an occasional phone call? Is there somebody next door that can't reach a light bulb to change it and they're by themselves, and maybe you drop off some, cake that you made for the holidays? I just find that people right now, while they're missing people that they love, especially the elderly, because they've lost most of the people in their life, be mindful that while we're celebrating, there's some people, if they stare off into a corner because they seem sad or, they seem distracted, maybe you just need to reach out to the people that that have lost somebody and say, hey, I'm here to listen if you need it. I'm here to listen. They're feeling the souls of the dead that they've lost in their life, the people they love, the first hands that held them, the first heart that loved them, all of that being gone, and they just need a little kindness from you. So during this time of year, I find a lot of people get very sad just missing somebody they love. If you want to help them out, another nice thing to do is for a Christmas tree or for the holidays, get one that reminds you of my dad. My dad was a professional ballroom dancer. If somebody were to give me a dancing shoe to put on the Christmas tree, or a blonde, his other favorite thing, or a bottle of wine that's red, and say, this is for Mike, that brings some happiness to the person who lost somebody during the holidays, because you're celebrating that person in a positive, happy tone that they would want to be celebrated in. So
so I'm so going to put a blonde wig on top of your tree.
Actually, I already have an angel up there, and she is blonde.
Oh, she's blonde. Okay, well, that takes care of your dad. Okay.
So I'm sure my dad's quite happy, and he keeps sending me blonde friends. So I mean, he finds a way, I'm sure. And over there, I'm sure there's plenty of good-looking blondes. But it's just a time to really, with Rodney, what would make him happy during the holidays that you could do representing his dad. And just it makes you feel good.
Yes.
So while we're going through all these cold winter months and people are locked inside, extend a hand. If it's a relative and the person that died well enough, do something in homage to them, and put a chair aside at the Christmas or Hanukkah table for that person they love, and that'll be their place. And the ladies that had the great recipes really like it when you give it a shot and try and make it during the holidays and talk about how theirs was better. Yeah. They just love it. So when you're thinking about the holidays, it doesn't have to be cold, empty, or sad. It could be all things possible, all things soulful, all things that connect us. So from Tom and I, happy holidays. You can hear more about 2021 on The Dead Life with me. And if you want to find Tom, go to tommcmullan.com. He also has an Instagram, and you can catch him on YouTube to catch up on other videos that we have recorded. I'm Allison Dubois. Thank you for dropping in.